Hey, it's Frank with Thinkmoat. Today we're going to talk about 4 things you need to do to become a software engineer during this time of coronavirus. So the 4 things are: 1, the real challenge of becoming a software engineer, how much work it takes. Number 2 is the state of mind that you need to have when trying to become a software engineer. 3, the financial impact, the things that you need to do to prepare financially through this time period. And last but not least, 4, understand the playing field that you'll be working in, understand the market and things you'll be involved in. Okay, so number 1, becoming a software engineer is not an easy task. As a matter of fact, becoming a software engineer takes more time than you think. So most likely, because if you do 4 years of school, then 4 years of work afterwards, you can become an adequate software engineer. But things in this field have changed. People don't have to technically go to college to become a software engineer, but you have to be really good at what you do. Now, there's a lot of knowledge you may not get if you don't go to school. But if you're able to learn all of that plus more, then my goodness, you'll be a great candidate. So becoming a software engineer during this market and during this situation going on, it's going to be hard because there's a lot of people who are shifting from out of their current positions. Even software developers now during this time period are having a hard time and being laid off. So even this profession is not safe because right now in the market that we're in, a lot of employers are expecting things done ASAP. We're not even talking about the fact that if these employers or companies are able to even survive. We're talking about if they were to survive, they want things done ASAP. And your job is to be able to provide that for them. That's kind of where you want to be. You want to be billable to the point where you're so good that people want to keep you around and don't want you to leave, no matter what the condition is, if the company can survive. But it's challenging because, our field is becoming compressed. And in this kind of environment, you have to be a master of none, but know at least 80%. So how does Pareto's rule work? 80-20 rule. I'm sure you know this, probably heard it 1,000 times, but I'm gonna say it again. You should at least know 80% of a concept, and that's typically easy to achieve. You take 20% of your effort to learn 80% of it because the market's shifting and people need, good quality software engineers to build things. But at the same time, because of the COVID-19 situation that has occurred, they're cutting back significantly because they can't maintain state. So number 1, there's really programming and learning and channeling and put up your projects and testing it and really trying to produce as much as you possibly can so that 1, you're good at what you do, and 2, people are visible, people can see you. Okay, so number 2 is state of mind, and you have to be resilient and tough. I mean, before you had to be that way, but now you have to be even tougher because now the competition is becoming fierce. And a lot of people are going to want to come in this field and do it. And you have to be able to be strong enough to say, I'm going to work hard as I can. And a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to work. A lot of people don't want to push themselves. And there's a lot of people who do. And the people who do are really going to be competitive with you. So you have to really make sure that you are developing the best you can. So I struggle with trying to make sure I'm competitive enough. And that is because, the market space is a lot of software engineers out there and they are good. So post COVID-19, it is essential to not become mediocre, but become the best. And I know a lot of people say during this time, work for a company where you're not the best so you can grow and learn. And that is true. But given this conditions and things are being where they are, it might be time to be the best. It might be like, I'm gonna be the best in this area. And I don't want you to be, cramping down other people and kicking them over and, they're the worst and pushing them and say, hey, making them, walking over other people to get ahead. Don't do that. That's just wrong. But what you can do is try to make sure that you're the best and you support those people and people see that you're a team player, you provide assistance. All right, so number 3, your financial position. This is a challenging one because just, some people may be laid off, some people may be working to reduce, number of hours. There may be people who only have half the pay. There are so many different conditions, but I also am mindful that, these things are never forever. These things aren't always promised. So I always have to make sure that I'm being mindful of what is my condition and, how much time do I buy? Think about money in terms of runway. How much runway do you have? And runway usually in units of months. So how many months can you survive post if you didn't have, a job, or if you didn't have that position? And I think about this a lot. Like at any point in time, anything can happen. So I'm always focused on making sure that what am I doing to prepare myself? And It's not much. I'm gonna be honest, it's not much, but it's at least trying to figure out, okay, being precautious about what it is that could happen. Like I said, nothing's forever. So what does that mean financially? Thinking about, okay, what are all of my assets? What do I have? What do I have in my bank I can use? What do I have that can buy me more time? Which means, do I have stuff in my house? Can I get rid of some services, some subscriptions I don't need? Sure, get rid of those. They're not necessary. I've already stopped some subscriptions already. I'm like, I don't need this anymore. And since we're not going out anyway, we're reducing the number of food that we're spending. But this is something I have to keep in mind. That's going to be a little long term. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. There's a lot of economists are saying that, hey, it's going to be just going to bounce back, do the whole V here. Some say it might be a check mark, in the economy. Some people could say it's a U shape or a W. It might come back a little bit, but it bounce back. Especially if there's a second wave come through of the coronavirus. I hope it doesn't happen. I pray it doesn't happen. But, we have to be mindful and cognitive, because this happened before in the past and people were not being aware of it 100 years ago. So I would suggest that we try to be mindful of this, which then dampens the market still. So put cash away, much of it away you can. Don't spend it frivolously. Reduce your expenses as much as possible. I know it's hard to move now given the conditions, so you can't really change your place of living. You can, but moving has a lot of implications during this restriction and ban we have now. But what I would say is spend a lot of time financially trying to prepare yourself, because, things will get challenging soon. So, which brings me to number 4. I said number 4 is understanding the playing field. The playing field is going to be tough because you're going to be dealing with a few things. One, as becoming a software engineer or working as a software engineer, you're going to be working on figuring out where do you fit in this big puzzle. So putting away your money and investments and trying to keep cash on hand as much as possible is what we talk about in number 3. But for number 4, which is understand the playing field, understand the economy, understand the market, understand the world conditions, understand psychology, people's behavior. What's going to happen? Well, a lot of economists are saying different things, and I get that. But as a consumer, and how consumers think, people are not going to rebound as quickly. One, because you don't have the finances to do so. And if they do, they're going to try to conserve their finances because of being concerned that things could continue to happen. Fear is definitely higher now. We don't want to have fear, but fear is definitely higher amongst the American people and even the world. So what does that mean? It means people are going to spend less, which means jobs or those companies who expect those people to come in and buy, or they're not going to come. So it means that people won't have to be laid off to keep the company afloat, or the company might just belly up. As of April 15th, 22 million people are unemployed. That's significant. Right now, while there is some time left, if you have time, I hope that people do have time to really take this moment and spend that strategizing as much as possible. Like strategizing financial, strategizing time, and putting away cash. Don't spend it on frivolous things. I know people have already been doing this, but how much more of the fat can you cut? That's kind of what we need to do. Cut as much as possible. I know the government is trying to stimulate, and that's a good thing, but it's challenging enough because people are going to continue to have position issues at their jobs, and you don't want to be in a position where you don't have enough to pay your bills. So as a software engineer going through COVID-19 at this time, I suggest that you just keep pushing yourself as much as possible, to keep working, strategizing. It's not enough to just become a software engineer. You gotta strategize your life, strategize your projects, strategize your projects in a way that they're beneficial to other people. I'm grateful for that. I'm very grateful to the fact that I can still work remote and be able to do my job and then be able to work on these kind of things outside of that. So thanks for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.